Okay, we have two awesome BPTs today, and we're going to start with North Syracuse Junior High School Building BPT.
Paul, just to let you know, we are on live.
Okay, thank you. Awesome. And I will turn it over to whoever wants to begin leading us off on your presentation. Thank you.
I'm going to start the presentation. As you know, I'm Connie Touros, the building principal at the junior high school, and I want to thank you for this opportunity for us to show you some of the things that North Syracuse Junior High School is involved with. I brought with me tonight Lisa Bauer and Kelly Moen, who are my co-BPT chair people, as well as Kristen Hill and Chuck Yanko, who are my two associate principals. I'll start it out and then we'll move to the other members of the BPT committee as we go through the presentation. Okay, Kelly, are you running the slide? I'll start my part with a building overview just to kind of familiarize yourself with what's happening at North Syracuse Junior High School. Our enrollment this year is 1,289 kids, a little higher on the ninth. And just a note, and many of you know I've been here a long time. When we opened the junior high in 1983-84, I think we had like almost 1,900 kids. And now, this many years later, we're down to 1,289. So we've been slowly going down in terms of the number of students we have. This year, we're dealing with hybrid and remote numbers. The number of remote students has slowly been climbing since September. Right now, we still have more hybrid than remote. But each day we add a few remote as well as we also bring some hybrid kids back, and those are the numbers. Those are free and reduced numbers for this year. For 2021, you'll notice that there's a substantial number lower than in years past. Talking with Wendy Swift, she asked that we remember that this year everybody is pretty much free. So consequently, there would be less parents putting in for free and reduced lunch applications. So that number is down. Our total staff is 183. That represents teachers, aides, assistants, psychologists, counselors, custodians, food service staff, security guards. Every single adult member of our staff is represented in 183. We also included our alternative programs this year, and the number of students we send to these alternative programs. All of these programs are brought to us through the BOCES people. This year, our numbers are down a lot because some of those programs would be more active if we had the kids in school all the time. But we do have students that attend Innovative Tech and STARS as ninth graders. The REACH program, those are our students that attend as eighth graders. We don't have anybody at Alternative to Homebound. We don't have anybody at TASK this year. That's our GED program, but we do have one student at the Choices program. Also, we have a very large special education program in our building. A total number of 243 students are involved in our special education program, and you'll notice that's the breakdown. When you see CTD ELA and CTD math on ours, those are students that move into co-taught English and math programs, and that's a combined number for both 8th and 9th grade, whereas our blended, we have about 29 in our 8th grade program and about 26, 27 in our 9th grade program. And those are our 12-to-1, our 15-to-1s programs. But basically what has happened over the last few years is we have seen a decrease in the number of students. Again, I think that's a trend for the whole district. But again, through the last few years, it's been kind of up and down. But I think this is the first year we've ever been under 1,300 kids, okay? I'm gonna turn this over, I guess, Kelly, who's going up next for our next slide?
I am actually.
Go ahead.
All right, so I'm on the data and our goal piece. So this was our 3-year trend of our ELA testing data. And our goal obviously is to reduce the levels 1 and 2 and increase the levels 3 and 4. From there, same trend in the math 8 assessments. Of course, we want to bring these 1 and 2s down, 3 and 4s up. And this is our Regents data. So the physics exam is taken by all accelerated 9th grade students. So that should be a pretty high percentage rate like it is. Our living environment looks a little bit on the lower side, and that is due to the fact that most of the students that partake in that class are special education students. Earth science is taken by our general 9th graders and our accelerated 8th graders. Geometry is fully accelerated 9th graders. And Algebra 1 is general 9th graders and accelerated 8th graders. And obviously we have no data for 2020. The gap in between 2017 and 2018 was they changed the cut score from there. So it did go down, but then it did increase to go back up in 2019.
Can I ask a quick question right here before we leave this slide?
Sure.
I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you. So your students, who takes the earth science exam? All
The
your general.
the gen ed
Okay.
9th grade students and the accelerated 8th grade science students.
Okay, and then the accelerated 8th grade you'd referenced when they get into 9th, they're going to be in physics.
They're going to be in physics, yes.
Okay, and then everybody, I'm just tying this into when I looked at the CNS BPT, everybody in 9th grade is taking living environment, or 10th grade, I mean, typically.
Typically, yes, where we offered living environment for those with learning disabilities as an alternative science.
In 10th
Okay.
grade, you will find our most accelerated physics students will go into chemistry.
Okay,
So
okay,
you will get some chemistry students from 10th grade in terms of that person. What happens is after they leave physics, they can be recommended for living environment honors or for chemistry honors. And this year we actually have a living environment honors junior high school that were those kids that weren't as strong going into the physics. So we offered them living environment honors. It's just the first time in many years. So we'll see those living environment honors kids going into chemistry and then going into physics later on.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, that's my dog barking. All right, so our next was our ELA goal, and we took both our ELA goal and math goal from the SET plan that we created as a building. And they're both the same. It's to increase 2% each year over the next 3 years, the overall growth in student achievement on, I'll talk about the ELA test first, but then it's also the same goal for the math test. All right, so some of the strategies we're hoping to do for that is to administer that reading inventory test twice a year by analyzing the data for baseline, utilize common assessments within the English department, continue to work to identify essential standards and prioritize curriculum, access to high interest books and promote independent reading. And we wanna, this is the next 3 things I'm gonna talk about are for math and ELA. Focus on expanding parent and student understanding of the purpose, value, and importance of the state testing. Implementation of a power hour for students to receive targeted ELA instruction twice a week. And planning of a summer success academy to support incoming 8th graders with organizational, relationship building, and academic skill building. So that's for our ELA goal there. Our math goal, as I mentioned, is the same as ELA, to increase at 2% overall growth in student achievement over the next 3 years. We also give the math inventory twice a year, and we give common assessments. So we would take time to analyze that data to find gap areas and change instruction and learning styles from there. We will be administering the New York State assessment to all 8th grade students. That includes our accelerated students, which for, I think, the past few years have been exempt from taking that, but that in itself should bring up our levels just by adding those accelerated students to there. We're going to pilot universal screeners, the Ames Web and the NWEA. I believe that's currently happening now. And we want to focus, again, focus expanding the knowledge for the importance of state testing to the parents and the students. And the same power hour in the Success Academy we had mentioned in ELA. Any questions on the goals right now? Or we'll focus in. Okay, Kristen will be taking over attendance.
So we'd like to highlight a little bit of our attendance data. We did have an improvement in attendance, our overall rates and our chronic absenteeism rates from 1819 to 1920, but then COVID hit and obviously our attendance rates fell between 1920 and last year. So as a building, we've identified this. We really have strived to communicate in all sorts of ways, snail mail, our website, social media. Chuck runs our Twitter page, and I post on Facebook. We try to get out as much as we can to parents and students. We have continued with our junior high mentor program. It hasn't gone as well as last year because of COVID this year, but we did identify students coming to us from the middle schools, and we did hook them up with a staff mentor. And they're trying to communicate as much as possible as well. Last year in March, we did create a building-wide unengaged student list that everyone had access to. And from there, we organized check-ins with our guidance counselors and administration, as well as teachers. We did organize parent-teacher conferences via Zoom, and we did do home visits when we were able to, and we've continued that into the fall and currently. Our BPT has also promoted positive home contacts. We started this last year. We asked for 10 per teacher per marking period, and we've continued that through the year. We kind of take a tally by department. And then also we are, as Kelly said, we're going to research and plan and try to do that Summer Success Academy to really get those kids that are coming up from the middle schools to make a connection to teachers at the junior high school and promote that organization, relationship building, and academic skill building. And we're hoping that that will help with attendance.
All right, now Lisa. Is she there? Oh.
Muted.
Yes. Lisa, can you talk? Can we hear you? Okay, I think technical difficulties on Lisa's end. So our biggest challenge, and I'm sure this is a lot of places, are, whoops, did I skip a screen there? Is student engagement. So we are going to be working more collaboratively with staff, including Liberty Resources. We have continued work and are doing the best we can with the Positivity Project. We have virtual clubs and activities, Google Classroom. Some of the mentors and teachers and whatever are sending postcards and making direct connections with the students that way. We want to promote community and connection through the building. And I, for one, was super excited to hear that we will be doing a virtual talent show this year. So to bring that back into play. So social emotional learning, kind of the same things. We continue with the Positivity Project, the counseling website. We have school social worker use of her Google Classroom and provide support and articles and strategies to help her students on ways when she can't personally make a connection with them, there's somewhere for them to go. We still work with Liberty Resources, teacher check-ins, the mentoring program like Kristen had mentioned. And our celebrations. So we have done Spirit Weeks. We do daily student shout outs still on the afternoon announcements, students of the month. We've done successful food drives. We have new classes that are being offered, virtual talent show that I mentioned, staff collaboration to show support during the pandemic. All staff, I believe, are now providing live access to their students during instructional time. We had the Great Giving Tree, what a successful program that was this year, and the Everson Museum Festival of Trees. Mrs. Hill was able to buy our tree back, so we have that back in the junior high to continue to celebrate that. And finally, we'd like to thank all of our BPT members. Our BPT is run by strictly volunteers. So this big group of people here all want to be part of this program that we have. We meet once a month. And we then have another weekly meeting with we call them staff committee meetings. So each 2 BPT members run a staff committee meeting in their smaller groups so they can filter out information that way and get feedback and stuff that way. So we thank you for letting us come here this evening and present to you. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Crabtree has one. And why are more students leaving hybrid and going into virtual? I'm I'm thinking at the beginning of the year, it was 25 to 30% anyway in the district, and now it's up higher. So why do you feel students are going to the virtual instead of coming to school?
Bob, I'll
Health
field that
reasons?
question. I'll take care of the question because I'm the one that approves all of them.
Okay,
What's
Connie.
happening is, and it happened mostly in December and January, the reasons, I always ask the reason. If I say, you know, I'm not going to stop you, but I'd like to know why. Most of the reasoning has been in the last few months is because of the number of cases of COVID and then the quarantine as a result of it. It's
Okay.
not so much that they want to go to the remote, it's that it to the parents, it seems like they get back into school and then they bounce out again for a quarantine and whatever. And now that we have all staff on live access, and that's been for several months, we just didn't turn that over in the last month. Many of the parents are feeling more successful on the remote, even though they'd rather be in school more often. They find that if they stay consistently on the remote and not have to bounce back and forth between the quarantine piece,
Yeah.
the kids have less social emotional issues and whatever. I've talked to many parents. In fact, today, I think I brought 5 back and I put 6 out. So we had kind of a wash today. But every single one of them certainly wants to be in school. But the problem is right now, once we get over this quarantining thing and the vaccine, whatever that happens, I think we're going to see more people just stop doing this. But most of the parents, when they talk to me, they're almost regretful that they have to ask. But they say for what we're going through in terms of the bouncing back and forth, and there's still the feeling of they don't feel quite safe, because if we get a case once in a while, that's enough to set a chain reaction that people get concerned. So
Yeah.
it's not such the education or what's going on. It revolves around where we are with the COVID.
Excellent, Connie. I just have 2 comments. And you have a very strong building planning team. You should. I mean, those people volunteer. They put a lot of time into it. And I congratulate each of those staff members and administrators for working on that. And personally, Connie, I visited last week, and you were out and about visiting your rooms. And Mr. Bowles was with me, and our Deputy Superintendent, Colleen Vigiani. Thank you for letting BOCES. I think it's the 2nd year that you've had the program in your school. And thank you for welcoming the program and being part of your building. It's much appreciated.
I have to admit, when we heard they were coming, there was just a little bit of hesitation, but that escape program is wonderful. And the people that run it are wonderful. And the kids are just so unique and have kind of, blended with the rest of us there. It's just a great program. I can't say enough about it. And the current person that runs it is actually a substitute, but she is fantastic.
Yes.
And her aides and all the kids in it. It's been wonderful. We would keep that forever if we needed to.
Thank you.
Good program.
Hey, do we have any other questions? Okay, well, thank you very much. We'll move on to the Cicero North Syracuse building planning team, and I think I see everybody here. So when you are prepared, there you go. Look at they're ahead of me. Perfect. Thank you.
All righty. Well, thank you very much for having us tonight. My name is Jamie Sullivan. I'm the executive principal at CNS High School. I brought with me the rest of my administrative team. I have Heather Pukta, the House 1 principal, Ann Lorenzini, the House 2 principal, and Sarah Keys, the House 3 principal. We're excited to share with you this evening some things that we've been working on this year. So this year, our total enrollment, it's stayed pretty similar for the past few years. We're at 1856. Our total hybrid is 885 students. Those students come to school 1 day a week, and our total remote students is 971. We're just like Connie. Our numbers fluctuate every single day. We're constantly putting kids out, but bringing kids in as well. So that number's never the same every hour. It changes. Our free and reduced lunch, we're at 33.6%. We have 220 staff members, and currently we have 123 students that are enrolled in our AM and PM BOCES program, as well as New Visions. Our mission is that we will provide students with experiences and opportunities that inspire them to reach their individual potential as productive citizens in an ever-changing world. And we are committed to focusing on building individual connections with students, along with having high expectations that support their academic success and create a community of respect and responsibility. My house principals, they will discuss our Regents data that's coming up next. But just as a reminder, as the junior high brought up, there were no Regents exams in June, August, or January.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to kick us off with talking a little bit about the English department and highlight some of the things that the English department offers our high school students. For support, first of all, I'd like to highlight the fact that we work really hard with the junior high school. In the spring of each year over the past couple of years, I know I end up calling Kristen and she sets me up with the guidance counselors and the English teachers. And we work hard to identify approximately 80 to 100 students that are really struggling readers and writers at the 9th grade level. And we are able to schedule them individually into an English 10 workshop class. In that particular class, we currently have 4 sections of at the high school. And it just kind of offers those students a tiered level of support once they get here at the high school, because really those are the students that are in need of that kind of support, a little bit more intensive than the rest of the 10th grade level. Additionally, as always, we have an English AIS class, and typically that's for our students who have failed the English Regents. Because of the year we're in, that's kind of morphed into a couple sections that is able to take on any student, grade 10, 11, or 12, that just needs a little bit of an extra push in English class. So that's been really nice this year, that flexibility between teacher and counselor to recommend a student for the English AIS classes. On the other kind of spectrum, additionally, we would just like to talk a little bit about the college offerings and the college credit that our students can take opportunities to take these classes at the high school. We have 3 college level classes in the English department. The AP Language and Composition and the AP Literature and Composition we have had at the high school for years. Recently, over the past couple of years, we have added SUPA Writing, which has been a big hit at the high school, and we're seeing numbers grow every year. And if you look at the numbers there on the screen, you can see that we have about 200 students with this potential at the end of the year to walk away with college level credits for being enrolled in those 3 classes. So we're really proud of that for English.
Okay, good evening. In the trends for social studies, you can see the percent passing for the Regent scores here, but I'd like to highlight the supports that have been put into place that we have here for social studies. We have social studies workshop, AIS Global, and AIS US History. Now, the social studies workshop is new this year, and we're very excited about this so that students can earn some extra support. We currently have had 46 students in there for the first semester. And as you know, tomorrow is the start of the second semester. And as of this moment, we have 22 students enrolled in that course for second semester, with plenty of room for additional students. Once we begin taking a look at the data from second marking period, we'll be looking at those students that need some extra support, and we'll be filling some more of those seats. So that number 22 will definitely go up. You can see also on the right-hand side, like Ann just said, the additional other end of the spectrum, the AP courses, advanced placement, we are maintaining the 5 AP courses: World History, AP US History, AP US Government, and AP Macroeconomics and Psychology. So we've maintained those, and then right now we're currently enrolled. We have close to 400 students in the AP and SUPA classes in the lower right-hand corner for social studies this year.
Let's talk about science a little bit. Some good things are happening in science, some things we haven't seen in a while for science. We've worked really hard over the past couple years getting workshop classes placed in the science department. We started out with the living environment, and then this year we added the chemistry workshop. I mean, you know that the chemistry, our chemistry students are pretty high level students. So for them to have this opportunity to also go into a workshop class, to get help with labs, to do homework in there, just to get some extra push in these higher level classes has been something that, some of our students have really been benefiting from. And as always, we still have open a few sections of the AIS class. And that's another opportunity for our counselors and our teachers to work together to put some students who are really struggling, maybe in the living environment or science class, into that AIS section this year. Some things with the AP classes. We have AP Biology, AP Physics, and we have just about 100 students enrolled in that this year. And then the SUPA Chemistry class is a little bit different in the fact that our successful students in the SUPA Chemistry class will walk away with 8 college credits at the end of the school year. So that's something we're really proud of for our 40 students that are currently enrolled in that. I touched base with the teacher the other day. We're on track for all 40 of those students. So things are looking good in SUPA Chemistry.
Good evening. Again, in addition to what Ann and Heather highlighted for ELA, science, and social studies, we are continuously assessing best practices and strategies to strengthen and increase our students' math skills. Again, our math department not only offers AIS. A few years ago, we did start doing Algebra 2 workshop and Geometry workshop, and this year the enrollment is the highest it's ever been. And if that fits in the kids' schedule, and kids have provided feedback saying, I love this. Just having that extra help in, we try to be strategic where they have the workshop class the next day instead of waiting opposite every other day. So they're being exposed to that curriculum on a daily basis, which is wonderful. And again, we offer AP courses and an OCC pre-calc class to keep continuing to challenge our students beyond the New York State curriculum. And this year, we're looking to have approximately 320 students walking away and leaving our doors, crossing that stage with several college credits in the area of math, which is awesome. It's great. And then for attendance. So attendance isn't always an area that I think everyone is always trying to do better. Last year, we did have a 2% increase. And then this year, attendance has been a struggle for everyone because we're not tracking attendance how we historically have been tracking attendance. Back to March, we were kind of losing track. You can't mark them absent if they weren't there, but then we had to bring in this piece of engagement. So our attendance committee is kind of having to refocus this year on what we traditionally have always done. Incorporating new strategies of how we're going to work on attendance and then include engagement and how we're going to measure that. And I know Jamie Sullivan is going to get into that in our next couple slides because we did make attendance one of our main building goals this year.
Alrighty, so our building goals. Our academic goal, we're working towards accomplishing this goal by making our PIG civics requirements. That's the class that our seniors take for social studies. We really want those requirements to be more relevant. Our students in the past have made pillows for vets. They've made comfort kits for the homeless. And this year, they have exclusively run the CNS food pantry and snack pack program. Our snack pack program has serviced students at Roxborough Road Middle School, Roxborough Road Elementary, Smith Road Elementary, and CNS High School. And as of today, our students have bagged and shipped 3,450 bags of food for students in our very own community. Our modern civics class sort of needed to readjust this year after going into this year with a plan. Pre-COVID pandemic, they weren't able to really accomplish what they wanted to accomplish. So they refocused, readjusted, and we decided to go into the program of studies and make a class next year for those students that really wanted to make prosthetics for members of our community. We're going to be able to do that for people next year, and we're really excited about that. Our team building and emotional intelligence class continues to build positive relationships in our community and in our school. We just love that class. And our teachers have worked so hard to help all of their students learn how to navigate our digital world responsibly and appropriately. Our librarians have also assisted students and teachers with that. Many of our teachers are using multiple platforms to engage students synchronously and asynchronously. They use Nearpod, Edpuzzle, Google Classroom, Kahoot, Quizlet. That's just a few of the things I've seen in the past few weeks while doing observations. It's truly amazing what they're doing in their classrooms. And we have successfully, again, pulled off Pajama Rama Week this year. CNS raised over $3,300, and as a district, North Syracuse was able to donate over $7,500 total to Paige's Butterfly Run. For our social emotional goal, we're doing a number of things. You know, we've got to take care of our staff and our students. So it's a big task this year. We're taking care of everybody. So we're doing a number of SEL things for our staff. We do a bi-weekly check-in, usually on Mondays, for our staff. It's completely voluntary. They fill in a Google form. We just want to know how are they doing? What are they struggling with? What can we help them with? And then it comes back on a Google sheet for us, a Google spreadsheet, and we're able to touch base with people, see who needs help, and figure out what we need to do in order to help our staff. We had Monica Baycoat, who's trained in educator, wellness, and trauma-informed practices, work with our staff this fall. And on Wednesdays, every Wednesday during lunch, one of our teachers sends out a Zoom link during lunch for all of our staff who wants to participate in yoga. For our students, our PE department is incorporating the Positivity Project during their synchronous learning. As a counseling department and as an administrative team, we've done many home visits to our disengaged and struggling students. We've also done home visits to drop off school materials and food to our students as well. We're trying to make phone calls to students that we are concerned about, and we are also trying to make many positive phone calls to students as well. We also send congratulatory notes home to students that have won awards, and we're still moving forward with our North Star Pride Awards, which we're really proud of. Our attendance goal is just something that, you know, I think a lot of schools around the area and across the nation is struggling with. We've sent out and blasted our ClassLink information many times. Our attendance aides are trained in how to train parents and students in the proper way to log on to ClassLink. We make many phone calls to students that we're worried about. We have revised our attendance letter to make the vocabulary easier for parents and students to understand. And we really wanted to make it more helpful to parents who are struggling. We took a look at the disengaged protocol that the district had sent out, and we really molded it to CNS to figure out how it could better work for us and our students. We meet as a counseling and administrative team to discuss our at-risk students. And we also decide which students we want to do home visits with. And all of our teachers are now live conferencing during their class. So that will also hopefully increase the student engagement. And we recommend to teachers to turn on their Google Guardian summaries, which send parents a weekly summary of their child's progress right from Google Classroom. So our challenge, if it wasn't obvious, is we really want to increase student engagement. Attendance folds right into this. So our challenge was we want to increase student engagement for all students, regardless of their instructional model, by increasing attendance rates and decreasing the overall quarterly failures during the 2021 school year. So these are our steps and our tasks that we're taking in order to try to accomplish this goal. We've added to this over the course of the past few weeks. We have one of our deans, Jack McAndrew. He is solely in charge of the senior class. And we've come up with some really cool things that we're trying to do in order to engage our seniors and get them re-engaged in school and to work on some of the the classes that they need specifically for graduation. And some of our celebrations, you know, like we're still a high school. We want to do fun high school things. So we still had Pajama Rama Week. And as a combined donation with FM, Liverpool, and West Jenny, we were able to donate over $22,000 to Paige's Butterfly Run. In December, our DECA students, we had 26 students that participated in the regional competition, and 19 of the students placed in the top 3. For our North Star Pride Awards, we've given out over 240 awards. Any of our remote students that win the awards, we encourage our teachers to hand out the awards to our remote students. We give them a call at home. We call their parents. Their parents are so excited that their child has won an award. We did Spirit Month this year because 1 week just wasn't enough for us this year. So we had College and Military Shirt Week. We had USA Week, Pajama Week that ended with World Kindness Day on Friday, and we ended it with CNS colors. In 2020, we had 89 students that were awarded the CTE endorsement, by far the highest year out of the past 3 or 4 years. And in the fall, our girls field hockey team went undefeated at 14-0. 7 athletes signed national letters of intent to play at the collegiate level. And our very own English teacher, Jeremy Lencher, won Girls Soccer Coach of the Year. Sorry, I just rolled through that really quickly. These are our BPT members. They're a great bunch. They're our department chairs. We work really, really hard together on a lot of really difficult topics. And they're a great bunch. They're very open and honest, and they're an amazing group to work with. And finally, do you have any questions?
Okay, I do have a few, but I'm going to see who else may have questions first. All right, if not, I'm going to jump in. Science, I just wanted to understand this in my head. When I look at the workshop classes, science and math, you have workshop classes and you have AIS. Workshop, anybody, I think you said voluntarily can sign on for those if they need assistance?
Yep. So the difference has always been the workshop classes, those teachers that teach the workshop classes, they work directly with the teachers that teach the course. And it's sort of a support for what they're currently doing in the class, because AIS has traditionally, before this year, always been a Regents prep class. So it's focused on getting the kids through the Regents exam. These workshop classes are focused on getting the kids through the actual class. We don't want to play catch up and have the kids do credit recovery or take summer school. We want to provide support. So an additional day, it's 1 letter day out of the calendar, for the student to actually get assistance for what they're working on in the class at that moment in time.
And there's some pre-teaching, reteaching. So those, let's say we get all our Algebra 2, they tend to pace the same because they're shooting to, get to that same common assessment, quarterly assessment, whatever it is the team agrees on. And they pretty much stay right in line. So all those kids, but then that teacher that teaches the course will touch base with the workshop teacher and say, hey, Jimmy, I noticed Jimmy's still struggling with the concept from the previous unit. Can, they're not getting it, because everything, the math, it builds on and forward. So it's.
So our AIS students in science anyway are ones who are challenging the Regents again. They've tried already once, I'm assuming. Yep. So I noticed you had over 400 in there, but I'm assuming they're broken into the various subject areas. Okay.
Yes. And that was the past, that was the past 3 years.
Okay.
Yes, that was from 2017 to 2020. And we just added living environment workshop and chemistry workshop this year. We find that kids struggle with the concepts of chemistry. So we really wanted to open that chemistry workshop up to chemistry honors kids and regular chemistry students. And we all know that the living environment test, that is a reading test. And a lot of our kids struggle with reading. So we wanted to give those kids that might struggle with reading or might struggle just with the concepts and the vocabulary of living environment, we wanted to offer them some extra support.
Okay, thank you. Who chairs the BPT? I didn't see it on the list. And I just.
Greg Broughton.
Okay, and he's
actually one of our science teachers.
Oh, okay, and because I noticed it's just the building executive principals and the house principals presenting today. Usually we see a mixture, but that's just an observation. Doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, we've done it this way for a couple of years, where the CNS administrative team we've done it this way.
Oh, okay. Other questions?
I just have a couple comments. I am personally very pleased with your administrative team at the high school. All four of you are so dedicated to our students, to our staff. You could hear it in your presentation, all four of you. Thank you. Thank you for what you do. It's a very difficult year. Leadership is important, but also congratulations to your building planning team. It's a very strong team. I know that. You're coming from all subject areas, but together they want to make a difference and make your building number one. I also want to thank you for Giorgio Rada and Raleigh Koala and Owen Greco, who are seniors who are on our legislative committee. I can tell you 2 weeks ago, they made a big difference because each of them were asked by Al Sturpey about sports. And then within a week and a half, it looks like we're going to have winter sports. So they make a difference, and I appreciate that. And then just one single thing, another thing. Greg Broughton, by the way, was Coach of the Year for both boys and girls cross country in Central New York. That was in the paper. And the other thing is Scott Salmon. I remember when he first got hired in this district, he used to come over and borrow things from my elementary science class. But anyway, great person. I'm glad he's retired. I mean, I'm happy for him that he's retiring, and you're losing a great teacher there. So thank you for everything. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
You're welcome.
Other questions? Okay, thank you very much. All right. Okay, we're all back. I'm going to move on to Board of Education committee reports. I'm not sure we have any because we had some last week, but I'll go to Ms. Scanlon just in case and go around the horn here. Yes.
Yes, as I reported at last week's meeting, our next policy meeting is February 23rd.
Okay. And Mr. Crabtree, legislative, I know you just
24th.
reported.
Yep, 24th.
Okay, thank you. Superintendent Bowles, your comments.
Thank you. We had some asymptomatic testing at the high school today. There are 54 people that tested. There were no positives. We do have some testing that will happen tomorrow. If there's inclement weather, that will be rescheduled. Speaking of inclement weather, we did send some information out. There is the potential for some inclement weather. Please look on our website, and if there is either a closure or delay, there would be information that in a robocall that comes out from myself. We've had many inquiries in regard to what the governor did in allowing winter sports. So that's something that is on our agenda. But the other thing that we're going to be looking at is what are we going to be doing with extracurricular activities? I've got many inquiries, and one of the things the governor and the department hadn't really commented on extracurricular activities. There's no new guidance for those activities for marching band, musical theaters, etc. The Department of Health and the Department of Education in their reopening guidance documents were just very general with those activities. So what we're doing is we will be looking at those activities, and we've asked people to submit plans, and I'm going to be talking to Mr. Bednarski and also looking with other superintendents in the county, because those extracurriculars are equally as important. Our fine arts, it's not just the sports that are important to people. People have a passion for the arts, and we need to make sure we recognize those. So we will be looking at those. The other big question that we've been getting often is, as we start to see numbers going down, people are asking about, are we going to get back to more days in school and regular, what we used to do? Right now, people are looking at, can we get back to 5 days a week? That one right now, we're looking at data, but again, we have to maintain 6 feet social distancing. Those are the things that we've set up. But as the BPTs have reported, with people moving in and out of hybrid, we are looking at numbers and looking at many different data points. So more information will be forthcoming soon. One of the things that I have here is that parents are just wondering, what can we do for their kids? Mrs. Goldberg, with social emotional learning, you see what the high school is putting out. Please, please, please make sure, if we're finding that students are not feeling their best, please contact the counselor, contact the administrators. We do have people from Liberty Resources available, and we want to make sure we're doing those well checks and checking in on people, not only students, staff as well. We need to make sure we're looking out for each other at this time. And as people are getting the vaccine, we are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. I think that's it for me, Mr. Farfalia.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bowles. Board of Education comments, observations, comments?
Well, I thought maybe you want to talk a little bit about Saturday, about the legislative forum. I'm thinking you asked a question when I heard the name.
Well, and I was doing it from my phone, and there's a couple, he kind of butchered my question and didn't even get to the second half that was the point of it, I
Probably the
thought.
most important part. But
Yeah.
anyway, some of the board members and administrators attended what was called a legislative forum on Saturday morning by virtual. So we gave up our Saturday morning to listen to Dr. Rick Timms talk about where is state aid really going. And Mr. Keegan has spoke about this at our last board meeting a week ago. There were 3 things that are a little bit disturbing to board members and superintendents. And that first is the state foundation, the foundation aid. This is the largest aid category where districts get funding. It's been frozen 3 years. And if you go back and look at Mr. Keegan's presentation, you will see that this has been frozen. Things aren't frozen here in North Syracuse, maybe outside in the weather, but we have to educate our children and, pay the heating bill and everything else. So then the other kind of thing the governor did, he calls it service aid, which is made up of 11 parts. What he's trying to do is put things together to make it look as one aid. And some of the things in there, like library and so forth, we're fine with, but there are 2 things that are not fine. He's lumping BOCES in there, and that could affect our school district. That could affect BOCES, and also transportation. That's always been a separate aid. BOCES always been a separate aid. So we need to watch this service aid. However, on Saturday, our legislators say they are really going to fight to keep each thing individual. And the next thing he threw into us is the STAR program. So any taxpayers out there, you know that you get your taxes and you get so much money through a STAR program, or you get a check for that. Well, he's counting this now as state aid, and we don't know where that's going, whether we're going to keep getting checks or whatever, but he's going to count this into his state aid. So I don't know if you want to say some more, Paul, about this, what else you pulled out from it?
No, I'm gonna, well, I will say something. I want to, take the whole meeting, but, every year I've gone to this, it's really the same message. It's doom and gloom. The foundation formula is not fully funded. It's not been fully funded since I've been on the board and way back when. I referenced in my question, and this is, I was trying to throw it to the legislators, and Dr. Timms responded, and it really wasn't my intention, but I probably didn't word it correctly. 2 years ago at the Capitol Conference of NYSBA, it was mentioned by the NYSBA lobbyists that the governor doesn't have ownership of this foundation formula. Governor Cuomo didn't put it together. It was Governor Patterson. And they said they felt Cuomo's feeling was, not his words, but his feeling was, I don't own this formula. The previous governor never fully funded it. Not my problem kind of thing. And I said, you know, and I also referenced in the second part of the question, one of our legislators, it might have been the former senator. He's very good at getting to the point, kind of like, you know, oh, you guys come in and ask for foundation aid, you know, you're never going to get all that. And you know what? If you don't want us to continue to ask for this, then what is your plan? Basically, it was my question to the legislators. What is your plan? Because if we're going to keep coming to you about foundation aid that you owe us for this year and our back pay, and you're going to look at us like we're crazy, then come up with a new formula if you're not going to fully fund this one. And I guess that's what because I'm tired of hearing over and over again, we can't, we don't own this formula. What is it? Where are we going? And that's basically, and maybe at the next legislative meeting, I'll ask that in a nice way to see if there's thoughts. I definitely did notice more of an upbeat, positive comments from our brand new legislators and more what I consider realistic, I won't say doom and gloom, but based in reality from our seasoned veterans who are in the legislature. They clearly all have our backs. They're going to do what they can, but federal money, Bob, and you heard that over and over again.
Yeah.
It's going to be, as we all know, and we've known this all along, major big key going forward.
So I know in our next legislative meeting on the 24th, we'll talk more, but I would say staff out there, parents, you know, we have 4 state representatives that are so pro-education. Senator May, Senator Mannion, and Assemblyman Sturpey and Assemblywoman Pam Hunter. But you could help us, go Google their names, call their office, and very nicely, somebody will answer it, an aide will answer it, and you can ask your question, you know, why is North Syracuse getting foundation aid? Now, the one is the governor, and Paul has mentioned the governor. So I'm going to give you his telephone number. In Albany, if I had Connie, she put it across the screen, because I can tell you that based on what we had 2 weeks ago, he got a lot of pressure on athletics. And I know Mr. Bowles just talked about the other and he's going to get a lot of, when he gets a little flack, he gets a little nervous. So the more people that can call his office, 518-474-8390. That's 518-474-8390. The more pressure he gets, it happened, Paul will remember years ago on testing, he will make a decision. So I say to the taxpayers and staff, you know, there's a number, call. You won't get to hear him, but an aide will answer probably and take your name down and district and your concerns. So just a couple other things to go away from that, Paul. You know, I always have things to say. I don't know if everybody saw the article in the Post-Standard. Connie sent it to you, and I'm ashamed that I didn't bring this up when the junior high was on, but teen saves mom after she passes out while driving. This Nathan Buston, he's been congratulated by Cicero and so forth. What a great story. People should Google it. Really, stepping up as a junior high student and helping his mother. It was really phenomenal. Then my last thing is, I don't know how to say this because I know I've been saying it every meeting, and so has Mr. Bowles, and so has all the other 8 board members, is that we understand the stress that's going on. I'm not a teacher anymore. I can't even imagine what you're going through, the staff or the custodians or the bus drivers or the food service or the parents or the kids. I can't imagine. I don't have a family here. I don't know. But I wanted to share, it's a letter. It's real short, only 3 sentences that my pastor gave me yesterday. And I hope this kind of conveys what I believe. Dear tired teacher, when the expectations begin to feel impossible, remember, Because of you, today, someone will smile. They will learn something new. They'll become more confident, and they're going to feel loved. Don't give up. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Bob. Other comments? Okay, then I will move on to routine action items. So we have consideration of the approval of the minutes from the last meeting of the board. If I get a motion to accept item A, please. A motion from Mr. Thorne, second from Ms. Kruger. Any discussion on those minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. And if I could have a motion to group B, C, and D together, a motion from Ms. Kruger, second from Mr. Harrington. They are the classification placement of disabled students in school for preschool and for home instruction. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That is carried. Okay, we have a discussion on, or not a discussion action item. We have the KWS Bear Road Elementary renovation project change order reschedule. If I get a motion to place that before us. Motion from Ms. Kruger, second from Ms. Scanlon. And that was described in the Friday letter. And if you go through that, as I'm sure we all did, these change orders, I think it's just important to point out they're not changing the scope or the cost of that's been approved for the project. So I just will put that out there and see if there's any questions. Okay, good. Seeing none. All in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Okay, we have a return to interscholastic athletics. If I could have a motion to put that before us. A motion from Ms. Kruger, second from Mr. Thorne. Okay, that is before us. And we have Mr. Bednarski here, and I thought I'd ask him if he would to just give us a kind of an overview of what we have here. And then if there's any questions before we act on this.
Sorry, I had to unmute there.
Nope, no problem.
Yep. So the county had asked us to, for each district to put together a district plan for the return to high-risk sports, utilizing many different points, and I don't have them listed in front of me, but and I apologize for that. But we had put the plan together. All the 5 districts are in the SEAC, Liverpool, FM, West Jenny. They had all done the same, and they had their board meeting already, all moving forward with sports.
Okay, anybody have questions or comments?
Yeah, I just a comment that part of this program is that no fans should be attending because of health reasons. And I do see that some school districts will not play teams. So if Liverpool, if we allowed fans in, Liverpool wouldn't play us, Beeville wouldn't play us, and so forth. So, you know, I want our taxpayers to be aware of that our league decided, as Tim said, the schools are all going to play these sports with no fans. So.
If I can make a comment on that, Bob, some of the superintendents are looking to at least revisit that a little bit down the road. They want to just make sure things are up and running.
Okay.
There are a few
Yeah.
that will look to revisit that.
Okay.
Yeah, and I want to thank you, Tim, because I was able to have the time to look at that today. I looked at the county piece, and what stuck out at me there was the last paragraph on the last page where the county washes their hands of any liability of anything we do, yet they're all on board with this. I think it's great that we're making this attempt, but I know it's hard to know what the right thing is to do. And I noticed your plan is quite comprehensive and 17 pages long, I think, as you address some of this more interesting sports or ones that more complicated individually in the back of the bottom of the plan. I'm sorry, I'm getting my agenda's about to restart without my permission there. I stopped it. So I do thank you for that work, and all I can say is good luck going forward.
Okay, one thing that I wanted to mention that was in the 11th hour on Friday, to the public, was the wrestling had got moved to the spring season. I know from the county that was there was some concern with that sport and high risk with the COVID numbers. So they're going to revisit that, and it was pushed back to spring season, which will start April 19th.
Okay, other comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, that is before us, that plan. So all in favor, raise your hands, please. Opposed, that is carried. We have our surplus of non-marketable goods today. If I could have a motion to place that before us. Motion from Mr. Thorne, second from Ms. Kruger. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, that is carried. Thank you. Acknowledgement and of retirements, and this one, I get almost speechless. I made comments at the last meeting, the number of years that we're in, the retirements we had there, and then I see this one, and it's way above and beyond. So I'm going to go through these if I could. Our retirements have been announced. Jean Bronner, special education teacher, retiring with 31 years of service. Mary Kuhn, elementary teacher, retires with 32 years of service. Kathleen Ziriak, Spanish teacher, retires with 56 years of service. That's phenomenal. Maureen Donovan, kindergarten teacher, retires with 31 years of service. Susan Guzzo, instructional coach, behavioral specialist, retires with 16 years of service. Carl Han Pizzari, special education teacher, retires with 41 years of service. Georgianne Hoff, teaching assistant, retires with 21 years of service. Joan Kesserling, guidance counselor, retires with 22 years of service. Simone Lapine, social studies teacher, retires with 33 years of service. Scott Salmon, science teacher, retires with 33 years of service. Linda Smart, teaching assistant, retiring with 20 years of service. And Kristen Stevens, teaching assistant, retiring with 18 years of service. So thank you, best of luck. And I don't even want to think about replacing that much experience. So I wish us luck. But best to all of you. That's fantastic. Okay, if I could move on now to personnel reports, instructional personnel report A, if I could get a motion, please. Motion from Mr. Maurizio, second from Ms. Kruger.
Paul, can we separate out the sports stipends from this?
Sure, if you want to make a motion, that would be a motion to separate out the sports stipend and handle that as an individual. If I get a second on that. Second from Mr. Herman. Okay, so before us right now is a motion to separate out sports. Then we will take instructional A first, and then we'll go to that second if this passes, of course. So any questions or discussion on that item? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of separating that out? Opposed? Okay, that is carried. All right, so before us, we have the instructional personnel A, which includes all the other items other than the sports. So that is before us right now. I'll take a motion from Bob to put that before us and a second from Mary. Okay, so that piece is before us. Just want to make sure everybody's clear on what's before us. Any discussion on that? Okay, seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Okay, Mike, if I'm going to ask for a motion to place the sports piece that's been separated out before us. Motion from Ms. Kruger, second from Ms. Scanlon. Okay, that is before us, the appointment of the coaches. Any discussion on that? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of those appointments? Opposed? Okay, that motion is carried. Did you get that, Ms. Gibson? Okay, thank you. Support staff personnel B, if I get a motion to place that before us. Motion from Mr. Marizio, second from Ms. Kruger. Any discussion? I do have some discussion if there isn't any. I noticed that we have some assignments and shift changes and a resignation, but when I referenced all the retirements, the one retirement was left out, which happens to be on Personnel B that I'm going to talk about every opportunity I get. And that is, if you looked at that, which I'm sure you all have, that our clerk, Connie Gibson's, I just want everybody to make sure you knew as when we approve this, we're accepting that and her retirement is in there. So we'll have more opportunities to talk, but Connie, that's this makes it real again. So thank you, because I don't know what I would do without you to bounce things off and find the institutional history or memory of how things operate around here, which I find valuable and always have found valuable, and things I have done. So thank you for that. And that's before us now, and there'll be more. All in favor? Opposed? All right, that is carried. Administrative personnel report, a motion please to place that before us. Motion from Ms. Scanlon, second from Ms. Kruger. Any discussion on administrative personnel? All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to move into executive session to review the employment record of one individual with no action to follow. If I could get a second for that, second from Mr. Marizio. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? We are going to executive session. If I could get just a motion to adjourn, motion from Ms. Kruger, second from Ms. Scanlon. Any discussion? That's before us. Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? We are adjourned, and I will see you all in executive session. Thank you very much.